Hi, I'm Chris from airwindows, and I have a bit of a strange, crazy secret weapon for you today. It's something I was working on because I was trying to, well, here, let me show you first, rather than just talking. This is a piece of music, and this is StarChild. Pretty freaky, huh? Now, what this plugin does is as follows. The thing it does is it's modeled after the old Ursa Major space station, only not. Like the space station wasn't really a delay and it wasn't really a reverb. Instead, it was a sort of bizarre combination of the two. And what I did was trying to code something like that, but I ended up putting in strange sort of prime number based delay time calculation thingies, and the delay buffer is calculated in fixed point, so it's very accurately done within the range that it's working. But you can also scale it up and down with this grain coarse fine control. And what that means is that this is a somewhat unnatural sounding reverb, and then you can adjust the whole flavor of it very strikingly. It also has a peculiar kind of drone quality to it, but since the time, well, here, let me show you. Let's give it a little full wet. Now that's pretty strange, right? But I'll show you what the grain, coarse, and fine does in full crank so that it's obvious. That's fine. And that's coarse. Now you can hear how coarse that is. This is a good way of bringing some of that gritty digital mojo into things, but being that it's an airwindows plugin, it's not just a single preset. You get to kind of dial in what it's doing. And the sustain duration is doing something else, which I will show you. See? Maximum sustain duration, and it's very echoey. And then as you jump this up, it'll start filling it in. And you can hear that it's starting to smooth out. Smooth out. Until it's a crazy blur. Now that's pretty horrible. But the point being, you can combine that with dry, and it works in a rather special way. The way that it adds the delay taps causes them to kind of expand upwards and outwards out of a lower volume setting. So as your dry sound is hitting, it doesn't immediately get a lot of early reflections to muddy it up, but then it quickly fills in with the crazy zillion delay taps. But the delay taps are spaced in such a way that they tend not to really accentuate frequencies other than a sort of overall kind of drone that's sort of like one of those weird old... Oh gosh, I'm not remembering what it is now. But Eno used to use a particular device that caused a similar kind of drone, like this. I'll shorten it up. Now, this is really designed to be heard combined with dry, although, obviously, you can do all kinds of horrible things using it as a sound effect. Go. Get a really weird blur going on. Now that's a sort of Eno-y sound going on there. Since it's working with buffers, you can't really scroll it live. There's no real way to get around that. That's just kind of how it's going to be. But Now what we can do to finish this off is jump over to the dry, and we'll fill in just a tiny bit of this so you can barely hear it, and then cut it in and out to show that it provides a real sort of old school deepening effect with a strong noticeable flavor that might be just what you want for something. And you cut it out and it's immediately obvious something has been taken away. And that is as follows. Let me see. I might want it around. I remember it was over here somewhere. I kind of like the style of that. Now what we've got is mostly dry. Now you don't hear much here, do you? It doesn't sound like a crazy ugly effect is in play, but everything just got a lot flatter. And there we are with a little more texture. And then we can deepen it a bit. And then again, cut it out. It's much flatter. This piece of music is actually from a little iOS program, so this song was made on a phone, and you can kind of tell. But though you can hear that it's plainly the kind of thing that you get off of a phone, switch it on, and perhaps even too much vibe, so we'll pull it back a little bit. And then lastly, something we can do is, using this sort of subtle effect, let's jump around to a couple of different settings. We'll give it a little more sustain and drop the grain way down. Now that is a whole sort of sputtery, echoey kind of thing. I might have too much sustain going on here, so. This has a real kind of glittery effect. We'll take this out. And then add it back in. Let's go full course. Okay, that's definitely real gritty. And now how about sort of halfway back again? We can hear a certain amount of fineness and re-entering it. And here the texture is so fine you're not even really hearing it as a texture at all. But we still have, at this point, it's doing funny things to the cymbals. Listen to the cymbals. And I'll bounce it right back over here again. Oh, I like that on the snare. That's really electro and obnoxious. But listen to how it brings that out of the snare. Now bear in mind, as you change sustain duration, it's also going to change the pitch. I've got this nice obnoxious pitch in there, but if I change the duration, I can keep fooling with the snare by doing this. And again, this is about bringing in this funny sort of ugly retro digital quality that has a kind of, it's a sort of honk, it's a sort of ring, and it combines with the sound as if it was a ring on a drum or something. but it fills in. It's not really being layered over in a way that doesn't work. Instead, it merges with the texture of the track because it's being implemented in a way with a lot of purity, the way that I've been doing, and is being generated with direct coding. Um, it's sort of hard coded in there, and the way that it's coded is it's giving the most CPU hit on sustained duration of 1 maximum, but it can become very efficient, and it is very efficient. But my point being that it is being coded with a lot of pretty much raw basic math rather than some fancy sort of FTP, sorry, um, no, an FTP is the file transfer protocol. Um, it's not FFT. It's not breaking the sound down into all these little bins and then doing processing on those like it was some kind of convolution reverb. This is not like that. Inside, it's working like one of those really crude old digital processors where all they could really do was do a bunch of delay taps, and then if you were doing something like regeneration or combining it back with the dry, you had to do that in analog. And that's what this does. That's combining the sort of raw, vibey, grainy digital taps with the purity of the original sound implemented into very high fidelity. So that's StarChild for you. StarChild costs $50 because it's a crazy secret weapon, and probably almost nobody is ever going to have it, but if you do have it, nobody else will have it. And it is my little gift around the holiday seasons. I really hope you like it. I had a lot of fun putting it together, and I wasn't able to find anything else that was really serious as far as getting into the old school digital grunge kind of thing in the way that those old devices were made. There's a lot of like put up a fancy faceplate and use FFT and model everything and stuff, and that's just over processing. I don't like it. So this is done differently. And I do like it, and I hope you like it too.